Yeah, so hi.
Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Yo, what it is and what it do. You are officially tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM KCAA in the Inland Empire, worldwide on the NBC Radio Network and on the iHeartRadio app. As always, I am your host, Jay Love, and I'm always joined by two amazingly brilliant and beautiful and talented women. First off, Miss Cherie Marlene, how you doing today?
Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Sorry I missed you guys yesterday.
Well, you're making them boss moves. I mean, we can't be mad at a boss for doing what a boss does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we got, as always, Miss Melian is in the building. How you doing, Miss Melian?
What's up, Jay? Happy Tuesday, everybody. I feel great. It's getting a little hot in here in Cali, but it's feeling good.
Yeah, it's getting hot in her. You know what I mean? So it's Tuesday the 30th. Tuesday the 30th.
Where did March go? Did we really appreciate the women long enough?
Well, that's why we're bringing to shut it down. We are bringing, you know what I mean? We had to bring the godmother, that's what I'm gonna call her, the godmother, to come up in here and spread some knowledge and some inspiration and all kinds of other stuff. But just a couple of things real quick I want to touch on. Number one, yesterday, as many of you may know, the most important trial, I believe, of the last decade began. The opening arguments for the Derek Chauvin case. He is the gentleman. I don't want to call him a gentleman. He is the animal who murdered George Floyd, who kneeled on his neck for 9 minutes long. And opening arguments were yesterday. Today was kind of a difficult day in court. Because they're broadcasting the trial, right? Mm-hmm. And today was difficult because there was a portion of it that they couldn't show, or at least they didn't show who the witnesses were, because 4 of the witnesses were children. So it tells you how horrific this is, that 4 children had to take the stand and recount a murder that they witnessed.
How was there not enough witnesses when we all saw everybody around witnessing? I'm confused.
Yeah, I saw at least 8 people.
That were not children's.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of people, and
so I don't understand.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, like, the chief of police is gonna take the stand against it. Like, that's unheard of, right? His commanding officer, like, that is unheard of, and like, I'm telling you right now, and I will say this to America. Look, I'm gonna look dead in the camera. America, this man better get convicted. He better be fully undeniably, undoubtedly convicted, because I promise you, I will be the first one in the streets. There will be problems if this man is not convicted, because you will be saying loud and clear, we just don't give a damn. You know what I mean? I mean, this one right here, I think.
You think the court is going to somehow try to protect him?
He has to be a sacrificial lamb. Like, I was talking with a lot of people about this. Like, they had to have their little committee meeting and say, look here, Derek, we like killing them coloreds, but that was the wrong one. Shouldn't have, that one, you let everybody see it. And now we gotta throw you to the wolves. Now we're gonna keep some money on your books.
You think they from Texas?
Well, that's my old white racist voice. But they have to make an example of this guy. Because if they don't, the amount of issues that will happen because of this, it is just absolutely insane. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, it started a movement. Definitely this, George Floyd, rest in peace. It definitely started a movement. Obviously, a lot's happened before that and after that, but I feel like this death in particular definitely sparked something in America, around the world. So if he's not found guilty, it might start another riot, I feel like.
Oh, no, not might. There ain't no might. That's a definite, absolute, you know what I mean? So whatever, the trial started, it's supposed to go for 4 weeks. We're going to be watching it all the way along. And so we'll be watching with you guys and bringing you news as stuff develops. And I'm just holding out hope and faith that that justice will be served in this case. Mm-hmm. Right. So, and justice for the family, because the city already admitted guilt, in the sense that they awarded his family a multi-million-dollar settlement. So now we just need to find him guilty criminally. So
if they don't, I don't see why protecting him then. If that's already been done, I don't see what anyone gains by protecting him. To your
Exactly.
point, he has to be made an example.
Look, the LA riots was nothing. This summer was nothing. Last summer, 2020, when all the stuff, that was nothing compared to what we will see if this dude isn't convicted. And I'm not even trying to, like, I'm not the negative guy. I'm positive. I like to, you know, we could all come together. But on that one, I will be the first brother in the streets. I promise you. I promise you it will be problems. So on another note, I was going to say on a cheerier note, but I don't know if it's a cheerier note. I got to real quick address, and I talked about this yesterday, but the whole Satan shoe thing with the little Nas X. I just want to talk about it really fast because apparently some people, I got hit up, some people didn't understand what I was saying. So let me be very clear.
I'm sorry I missed this yesterday. Go ahead.
For the record, worshiping the devil is evil, okay? In no way, shape, or form was I saying that it's not. When I was saying that, you know, I wasn't saying that it was equal to, you know, idolizing your favorite team and whatnot. What I was saying from a theological standpoint, because a lot of Christians were up in arms, right?
Right.
And all I was saying is number one, there's obviously a disconnect between this young man and the church, right? There's obviously something that's making him want to push this button, right? Because this is a button that he's pushing, right? And there's obviously something there that's deeper than a shoe, right? And number one, I believe as if you're a person of faith, right? My point is number one, you should have compassion for this dude and be like, yo, because you know what? Whether we like it or not, Jesus still loves him. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading the wrong Bible, but according to what I read, if I'm reading it correctly, Jesus loves this young man as much as he loves Justin Bieber. Okay. To use the correlation. That's number one. Number two, he has no real power. There is no real power in that. You know what I mean? The scripture he used in Matthew, guess what? Talking about I seen Satan fall from heaven. Yes. And guess what? If you on God's side, you already won. You've won. We've seen this incarnation throughout pop culture from heavy metal bands.
So what are Christians saying that you're trying to calm down? I guess I should understand that before.
Okay,
I hear your
so
statement.
there was a lot of people. I basically commented on the fact that, you know, they were like, oh my God, we need to boycott Nike. And this is, you know, it's the end times. Look at what's happening and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo,
okay, but all of that is true.
But I'm saying it's not that big a deal. Like they're making it a bigger deal than what it is. Let's put it in perspective. Number one, Lil Nas X is a dude who had a monster smash hit. Then he had another hit that was like, eh. And now he's at the point in his career where it's starting to wane off. We've seen this throughout history. Artists will do damn near anything to hold on to that thing. Number one. So
I can see from your business mind perspective why that would be your approach. With that being said, I don't think that Christian comments should be discredited because that is insane. And there is only 666 being made. And we are living in a time where no one cares anymore. Nobody cares to put it out there and put Satan out there. So I don't think anyone should be faulted for feeling that passionate about it.
Right. I think we should care. I feel like
I'm not saying don't care. What I'm saying is,
God, it's like,
I mean, I still have Nikes, let's be clear, right? But this is how I look at it. To me, the majority, let me not say every, the majority of the companies in this world are fueled by evil, right? The majority is. So I'm not going to not, like, I have to exist in this world, right? But I do think that But I think the proper attention should be addressed, right? We shouldn't just completely discredit it or chalk it up to great advertisement and that's it. Like, it's insane where our world is right now.
No, I'm not saying that. Here's what I'm saying. If you really want to boycott, like if you really, first of all, Nike already put out, they sued, like Nike didn't even want to shoot because they're like, it has nothing to do with us, whatever, right?
Who do they collaborate with?
It's a marketing company called MSCHS or something like that, right? Okay. They do which, by the way, this company a couple years ago did the Jesus shoe, right? So if Christians really wanted to be radical for Jesus, right? Here's what they should have did. They should have immediately like, oh, you're going to put out the Satan shoe? Guess what? We're going to order every Jesus shoe in existence. And we're going to make that the most popular shoe on the planet to stop down that Satan. That's what they should have did.
What if they did, but they didn't get as much marketing because, you know, like quote unquote, sex sells, fear sells, all of that.
No, we would have known. Nobody heard about the Jesus shoe until they were like, oh, by the way, we put out the Jesus shoe too, but it didn't really sell.
So I get what James is saying, whether they knew about it or not now, as a comeback instead of just doing this.
Right. Instead of attacking him, because that's what he's expecting. He's expecting you to, because that's what Christians do. Attack
I see what you're
people.
saying.
So I'm saying, nah, bro, you know what? Jesus loves you. And by the way, I'm not buying your shoe because I don't care. You know what I mean?
I get it. You're saying take the spotlight off of him altogether instead of putting it on him and do the opposite.
Make the Jesus shoe. The Jesus shoe should have become the shoe that's like, yo, I can't even touch it because it's like $5,000.
I want to know if any of our listeners or viewers would buy the shoe. If you would buy the new Lil Nas X shoe. What's the shoe called?
The Satan shoe.
Oh,
I don't think anyone who listens to us
the Satan shoe.
I don't think anyone who listens to us would buy the Satan shoe.
Anybody would buy that on my live?
I don't think that's our demographic. But anyways, so I just want to be clear. I love Jesus, okay, for the record, in case there was a question about it. But I put no credence on this because I know my kids and none of the kids I know. I say, you know what I am more concerned about? I ain't concerned about this dang Satan shoe. I'm more concerned about WAP. I'm more concerned about things that actually make an impact in culture, that have the young people that we deal with, that are in our families, in our lives, that take them into trajectories that really cause destruction. That's what I'm concerned about. And if I sound like a hater because I've talked about WAP 100, and I don't mean to pick on that one song, but there's a ton of other songs and a bunch of the crap that's out right now. I'm more concerned about that really impacts the lives of people, as opposed to the Satan shoe, which is, a collector's item for people who, really are already into that anyway.
But they said there's blood in it. Like, to me, like, come on, man. Human blood? Or
and like, even if there is, there's no power in it. That's what I'm saying. There's only one bit of blood that got power, and it ain't that. So that's all I'm saying is we won. We win. So anyways, I'm gonna quit. Hold on. We got a comment. Hello, y'all. Hey, Felipe, what's going on?
Up, Felipe?
Hey, Felipe.
So that's Officer Felipe. I know, he's checking out the trial. So anyways, we have a special guest. So I want to jump into that. She is an author. She is a publisher. She does a lot of things. And I want to go ahead and bring her on the show because I think she's going to have a lot of really cool things to share with us. And it's the very final day. No, tomorrow's the final day of March, right? Am I right? Anyways, either way, it's still Women's History Month. She got a lot of women's history because she's a woman.
Wait a second. Tomorrow is the final day. Can we get our lives together?
Yeah,
tomorrow. Did you say today or tomorrow?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
We don't have other women except for you on tomorrow, so we're gonna have to talk about your history.
Oh.
But now it's her history because her whole life she been a woman, so she got a lot of women's history. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please show some love for Miss Sharon Judie. Come on, yeah.
Woo, what up?
How you feeling today?
I can't complain. Today is actually a good day. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. I heard you bought them Satan shoes.
Listen. I was in the background listening, and there's been so much controversy over it. And what you said made so much sense about, some marketing strategy. It's a way for him to keep his name relevant, to keep himself relevant. And at the same time, as parents, we have to be aware of what's going on. So I'm glad you brought that to the forefront, because the discussion needs to be had. Because if you don't know what's going on, if your kids don't know what's going on, a lot of times even with the music that the kids listen to, you start listening to the lyrics and it's like, wait, that's not what I wanted them to have going into their spirit.
Right.
At the same time, as a parent, we have to just be aware, and we just have to be awake and pay attention. We really do. So thank you for bringing that up.
A lot of people don't know what Old Town Road is about either. All the kids were singing it from Lil Nas X. So,
yeah, they don't.
Do you know what that song's about?
I do not.
It's kind of like when I was like 7, 8 years old. I didn't know what Peaches and Cream was about. I would just sing Peaches and Cream, and it's a type of ice cream or something. Like
it is. It's ice cream. It's ice cream mix.
Yeah.
I do feel like kids make up their own translations with songs, because I was singing a bunch of songs thinking very different until I got older.
Oh, I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road.
Right.
Ride till I can. And he came out the closet.
At the same time he did.
Yeah, so it's a song about that, basically.
I didn't know that. Well, the same thing. It was probably within the last 10 years, before I knew what some of the Prince songs were actually saying. I was singing the wrong lyrics my entire life. And then I finally got enlightened and I was like, oh my God.
We might let Prince slide though. We might let Prince slide.
He gets a pass. He definitely gets a pass.
Does it count that I just was singing lyrics wrong?
Oh, I did that too.
Yes.
My innocent mind.
Yes.
Hey, shout out to RTE Productions on my live. He says, I didn't know what Nookie was by Limp Bizkit. Nookie.
Yeah, I did it all for the Nookie. What? The Nookie. What? Yeah, okay.
He said, my mom got pissed. Like, you out there.
Yeah. My sister would sing at like 4 years old the Shaggy song, you know, the one where he got caught. She was singing the word for what? Yeah, it wasn't me.
Yeah, because it wasn't her. It wasn't
her. She
was
singing it, and we would look at her. She had no idea. She had no idea.
That's funny.
So people are singing WAP, and they don't really know what WAP is.
Well, I was in West Covina. This is the problem.
Okay, city that I was born in. Okay, city that I was born in.
And there was a taco place that had you need that WAB, that wet asada burrito.
Oh,
on their sign. Yeah, you can tell we all got ADD. We all over the place.
You're leading the conversation. What are you talking about?
I'm following y'all. Y'all the women. This is the women's month. This is all about.
Okay, let's redirect back to Sharon, please.
What's up, Sharon? Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here.
Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's
an
honor.
For our listeners, understand that you're an author. How long have you been writing, and how many books have you written?
Okay, let's see here. I didn't mention this to J Love when we were talking a while back, but I actually started off as a playwright. So I don't just write books. I've been a blogger. I've written for magazines, Christian Magazine, Women of Standard Magazine. I've written for different types of genres. Most of my writing has actually been fiction. And so starting off as a playwright, I was able to take one of my most popular stage plays and turn that into a novel. Wow. So I've actually been writing since 2004, maybe 2005. Like I said, started off with stage plays. And this last year during this pandemic has shut everything down. So fortunately, I already had a book that was out on my stage play that it's done in 3 parts, as a lot of soap operas are, and it plays out as a fictional story, but it's Misleading Lady. And I've taken a
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but my mind went 100 places with Misleading Lady. I'm like, okay,
I see all what those places.
She the leading lady, but she misleading you somewhere. There you go. She the devil. She wear them shoes.
It's actually a play on words, and you're right. She's a first lady, and she has misled not just her husband, but has misled her family during her entire marriage and so forth. And like I said, it has gained so much popularity because there's so much truth to the pedestals that we put pastors and ministers. And
you gonna touch something? Hold on. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
But I wanted to show from a standpoint of our pastors and their wives, our female pastors. They are all human too. And the beautiful part about the way the story is written is that even though we all have a past, we also have a glorious future if we believe in the one who created us. And so my stories are always about reconciliation, forgiveness, love. And so to answer the question, I have Misleading Lady is my second book. My first book was a book for teen girls. What I did was went out and interviewed 30 men that I knew and had them write a letter of inspiration or letter of advice or something to inspire young women. So these men come from different backgrounds. Some of them were pastors, have a pilot. Some of them come from law enforcement, few men from the church, teachers, engineers, any background that you can think of. And I had them send or give me a letter to put in the book, and that one is heart to heart inspiration, advice, and encouragement for teen girls.
Now, what made you ask older men and not like older women?
I wanted usually young. There's all, I won't say always. There's sometimes a lack of communication between a father and a teen girl, and a lot of times what young girls want is advice from a male perspective. You know, what are men looking for? Young men looking for what are the things that I can do to be better? As women, we can pour into them from our standpoint, but a lot of times the way that men think is a lot different than the way women think. So them hearing from men, I think, was relevant for what the young girls needed. But I'm actually thinking about doing something else for the women to actually pour into the young girls as well. And the women, we naturally, you know, we congregate together, we go to the bathroom together, we go to powder our noses together. So there's always women coming together. But, you know, in a lot of our communities, a lot of times the men aren't there. And so the young girls are left to figure things out for themselves or by themselves. Or if the mother has had a bad relationship or has had a bad experience, sometimes her point of view might be just from where she has been. And so hearing them from men, I think, was important.
You know what? Thank you for, I wasn't even aware of that, but I'm so glad I know that you did that, because one of the things that I say all the time is that we've come to a place in our culture where, and we joke about it or whatever, but like the male figure, right, has been reduced to a joke. Right. You look at every sitcom and the husband is really, you know, he's stupid and irresponsible and whatever. And the wife has to be the responsible one to save him, because if left on his own, he probably would die eating dog food. Right. And so and I think it's important that, because as much as we and it was important for the I guess the tables to turn in a sense, and us to learn to appreciate women, because for so long throughout history, women were underappreciated and women were taken advantage of and whatnot. We can't at the same time, for the sake of appreciating women, then degrade men, because we're both as equally important, especially in the development of children, right? It's been proven that, you know, a balance between a male and a female figure is always better for, you know, the development of a child. And so, but very few people, especially, and I'm gonna be careful when I say this, I'm gonna get some hate letters. Sometimes it feels like primarily women are always dogging out men. And I know we have a history and we got a lot of sins to pay for, but we ain't all bad. And, you know, everything about us ain't terrible. So I think it's that was really powerful that you did that, because it is important that young women would, if they had better relationships with their fathers or a male figure, a lot of issues in their life wouldn't play out the way it would, because they would understand men better. So
I was just talking to a friend about this, about like, you know, looking for love in certain ways because of having a void in her life or in our lives because our dad wasn't there or something like that. I feel like a lot of, you know, girls look for love at the wrong places because, you know, they didn't get to experience that love with their dad, or, you know, the love with their dad is what they valued and cherished. But then for some reason there was a disconnect or something. So then girls look for love in different ways, or in most cases in the wrong ways, right? Because there's like a void there.
Absolutely.
And I think too, women have tried so hard to make sure that the world understands that we can do everything a man can do, right? That they discredit the value of what a man really brings to the table, right? A good man, a man, right? Just like a good woman, what she brings. And I think we're all busy trying to prove a point that we lose sight of each other's value. Like I remember one time I was talking, I don't remember what happened, but one of my friends came over and was like, "Why are you not hanging up that mirror on the wall?" And I was married at the time. She's like, "I can help you put a nail in the wall and even it out and put it on there." I was like, "Oh, I could do it too. But I'm going to wait for Dave, who's my ex-husband. He was my husband at the time. I'm like, I'm going to wait till he does it. That's what he does." She's like, "So you can't do it?" I was like, "It's not that. It's that I value that he does it and he does it well. I don't, just because he can make me, you know, make an amazing dinner, he appreciates when I make dinner. It's what I'm doing." So I think as long as we can appreciate each other, we always have a place. And I think that's been lost somewhere.
I agree. Absolutely agree. Well, and I appreciate that input. I actually had for 5 years had a teen girls conference for girls being raised without a father in the
Oh,
home,
wow.
and we spent half a day with teen girls in the city of Compton. That's where I was raised, in Compton. And so my way of giving back was to bring a conference. It was always free, but you weren't able to tell that it was free because of all of the great speakers that we brought in. We brought in lawyers, we had career
It's
panels,
amazing.
we just did some of everything. And I didn't lose sight of that particular conference. I know what it's like. I was raised by my mom as as a single mom, and
Wow.
so I knew what that was like to have, see my father on the weekends,
Hmm.
and at the same time still having a relationship with him. But the fact that he wasn't in the home also affected me and affected the decisions that I made. And so a lot of the
Did you
writing
know that while you were going through that, it was
did
affecting you?
not know, did not know, not until it was much later. And so a lot of my writing actually incorporates pieces of my own life in a fictional way. I
Very cool.
embellish it just like they do with movies, but at the same time, like I said, I realized that uh, men and women are both. I think one of you said it, the value that we both bring to relationships. And a lot of times, what have found to be true is sometimes the men don't want to deal with the ex-wife or the mother of their child because
Mm-hmm.
of so much friction, but the person that's being hurt
It's the
is the
child.
child,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
always the case. And so when we can put on our big underwear and big boy panties, big boy underwear and big girl underwear, and think about the greater good, then I think that's when our children will start to thrive and really, really do well.
And unfortunately, that takes for both of those adult humans to be healed themselves from their own past trauma and be in a place of maturity to be able to move forward. Because something that I'm currently learning is we're affected by absolutely everything. You may have a reaction like, ooh, where did that come from? Like, that was real ugly. Like, what is that?
Right.
And it could have been just a really deep rooted issue from your childhood that is being triggered. So until we become healthy people, how do we raise healthy people?
That's
And
true.
that's for all of us. So
Absolutely.
you're right. You're 100% right. Makes a
That's
difference.
Yeah, it
Now,
really, really.
Sharon, that kind of leads us into the next question. Is that how you started writing from your own experience, or what made you start writing?
Well, I saw that
Great question.
as a child, believe it or not, I would spend, and now that you're asking that question, I would spend hours doodling, just writing out things, making up stories. I actually had had an imaginary friend. Um,
What was her name or his name? Give him a
Okay,
shout out.
I need to
Give him a shout out.
understand these imaginary friend situations. Like, because I think it's great, but like, is it just a comforting thing? Is it someone for you to just be able to talk out loud with? And it's really you
Absolutely.
talking out loud, but directing it to this friend?
Absolutely.
Wait,
And
what's
I
your
did,
homie's name? Give your homie a shout out.
his name was Mr. Green because he was a little green man,
Okay.
not like a Martian or anything, but it was someone that I could talk to, and like you just said, someone that I could just verbalize what was going on with me. He never judged me. He never made me feel silly for talking out loud to him.
That's
And
very
now we
cool.
kind of look at people when you see people walking down the street talking to themselves, but we don't know what
I got a
conversations.
few Mr. Greens. Let me tell you.
A few Mr. Greens, and it used to actually scare my mom because sometimes we would be at home by ourselves, and she would
Oh,
hear
poor
me in the room
mom.
talking out loud, and she'd come in and she's looking around trying to figure out what was going on. So I've always had a vivid imagination, and I found it to be therapeutic to be able to write. And what I didn't say is, although I have 2 published books, I have a book that I just completed. It's actually a devotional for women who are grieving. I talked with Jay Love and let him know that I just lost my husband 6 weeks ago to COVID.
I am
And so
so
for those people
sorry.
who are always continuing to say COVID isn't real and this, that, and the other thing, he went in the hospital January 26th, and February 14th on Valentine's Day, he passed away. But the interesting thing is, I don't think that anything is ever done. Nothing catches God by surprise, first of all. And everything, I think, has a place and a time. Back in the beginning of January, I started writing this grief journal, designing this grief journal. And when I was finished with the journal, he was in the hospital. And I didn't want to publish it at that point because I didn't want to, quote unquote, bring anything bad. Because
manifesting
it. I mean, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so I stepped back and did not release it. But what I have found out is I had to walk that journey. I had to walk that road of grief in order for me to understand what grief really was. When I first wrote the journal, I was speaking from head knowledge. But now that I've been on that road for the last 6 weeks, now I'm speaking and writing from a place of heart knowledge. And so
did you like rewrite it?
I did. I rewrote a lot of it. So there were some things that I had to incorporate for myself in order for me to tell someone else, this is what worked for me. Right. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, first of all, and I already shared this with you, but I'm sure they feel the same as, definitely we feel for your loss, and I know it's something that you're going to continually deal with. But I truly believe that in that moment is probably one of your greatest, if not the greatest pain of your life. I believe you're going to bring healing to a lot of other people. Like that journal, I believe is going to have the ability to transcend words that maybe other people can't articulate, right? Because the first thing that happens when we hear of a tragedy in someone else's life, we only know of two things to say: I'm sorry and my condolences, but we're always at a loss for words, right?
Yes.
So I think the ability to be able to say, hey, I'm sorry, here, let me hand you this, or email or whatever, I think will be a powerful tool. So thank you for being open with your, because a lot of people will hold on to those experiences and maybe not be open. And I understand because it's difficult, but on behalf of people in the future who are potentially going to be helped by your journal, I want to say thank you in advance, because I think it's a very vulnerable but yet powerful thing that you're doing.
Thank you for that. The title of the journal is "Love Never Dies," and it really doesn't.
That's awesome.
One of my all-time favorite movies is the movie Ghost.
Me too.
And I love the movie. And if you look deep enough, you can find some parallels to Christianity. And this might sound weird, but when he is finally, everything has been put in place and he's finally leaving, he looks back at Molly and he says something to the effect, Molly, the love, because he always told her ditto anytime she said, I love you. But he says, the love that you have inside, you take it with you. And that's why I chose the title Love Never Dies. It's a 30-day journal for women who are grieving, and not just necessarily women who are grieving, but just for the grieving heart. Yep. And so brokenness, though, comes in different forms. Brokenness may be the loss of a friendship. You're grieving the loss of a friendship, someone you thought was going to be your ride or die until you died. Sometimes that brokenness causes grief. Relationships that are broken between parents or ex-spouses. There's a lot of different ways that we are broken, but like I said, I hope to bring healing to the grieving heart. And a lot of the pages, like I said, it's a 30-day journal, so a lot of it can be actually transcend for whatever grief that you are grieving through your brokenness.
Is it aimed towards women or anybody in general?
I think it can be used for anybody, but the cover is real girly. Yes, so I might have to do one for the men, but that one, look for that one on April 20th.
Okay. So speaking of women, I was gonna say, do you find any opposition, or did you find any opposition in the beginning of your career, or even now as a woman or a woman of color, just in general with getting into it, writing, and did you ever find any opposition?
I have not, and the reason I say I have not is because there have been so many great female writers and male writers that have gone on before me. A lot of them I have followed their careers. I followed the fictional writers. I prefer fiction because for some reason that just seems to be where I fit best.
Mm-hmm.
Documentaries, I'm not real good at. That's not my lane. I've learned to stay in my lane unless
Right.
God tells me otherwise. But some of the fictional writers that I really have really fallen in love with over the years. Alice Walker, Maya Angelou. Some of the more current ones are that I really like: Rashonda Tate Billingsley, Victoria Christopher Murray. There's so many. And one of the things I want to share with the listeners is a lot of times we limit ourselves.
Right.
And so just like with the, I forget which the horses are, that is it Clydesdale?
Yeah, Clydesdales. They
okay.
have the
The blinders.
The racehorses, right? And
racehorses actually.
They have to keep the blinders on.
Mm-hmm.
The blinder actually keeps them in their lane, and it does not let them see what or who's on the other side of them. And so when we remove the distractions that the opposition, because the only limits that we have, I feel, are the limits we place on ourselves. The only person I compete with, the only person I strive to do better for is myself. And so I can look at something that I've written and I'll go back and I said, I can do that. I can make that story, that develop that character better. I can make it where people are wanting to flip the pages to see what happens next. And I feel that it's a gift. My writing is a gift from God. So I don't take it lightly. There are areas that I will not do. Erotica is one of them. That's just not my thing. But when my publishing company stands up, if I do get authors that want to publish erotica, I will probably have them refer them to someone else. I want to maintain a position of integrity, and not saying that erotica is, not where a person of integrity goes. Because a lot of times we read for entertainment,
right?
But for me, that's not entertainment. Right. I don't think
So even if they offered you like a ridiculous amount, $100 million to write an erotica.
Well, it just sounds like you were working more toward, your focus is more of the heart and the inner self, not the outer self, is really what I hear you saying.
That's it right there. That you nailed it. Yes. And so what goes from the heart, what it comes from the heart goes to the heart. And I want to be able to develop the whole person. Like I said, even with Miss Leading Lady, and it is Miss MIS Leading Lady, even with the things that she, as the fictional character, went through in her life. And one of you said something about your childhood. She had a traumatic childhood. Her mother had committed suicide when she was a child. And but she, on her birthday, but her 12th birthday, but she used that death. It shut her down at that moment, because she's like, who would do that? Why would you commit suicide on my birthday?
That's really deep.
Yeah. And so, but it took her to places that she didn't want to go with, her teenage life, your teenage pregnancy, got on drugs and all these other things. But when she met her husband, she had already gotten into the church. She had given her life to Christ. And so he knew none of these things. But at the same time, she told him that if he didn't have a relationship with Christ, she didn't want to have anything to do with him. So he gave his life to Christ and ended up becoming a pastor of a prominent church.
Wow.
But he didn't know about her past. But just like with everything else, those things that you don't deal with, the things that don't heal, they will start festering and they will start affecting you. And that's exactly what happened with her. And so the secrets that she thought were buried, those skeletons, they came back to haunt her. So we have to deal with those things before we can move on.
And one thing I want to applaud you on too is that what you said earlier was you grieved. And in the process of grieving, that's when you rewrote everything. So you allowed yourself, right, to deal with your feelings, to really wrap your mind around it, to be used as a vessel, to be used for your gift to write the book. So I applaud you, because as simple as you said it, it's hard for the majority of us to actually look in the mirror and process our feelings. And that actually leads you to something I want to ask you. Who are some of your influences?
Besides the writers that I got Walter Mosley as a man. I mean, there's so many of them. The list is so vast as far as writers are concerned.
If you had to name like the top 3, who would you say? I know that's probably
like
so
fiction.
hard.
But it is because I really, really like fiction.
Got it.
I'd have to probably say, sorry.
Or top influences in your life. Maybe they don't even have to be authors, just in your life.
Okay.
There you go.
I love that. My pastor is one pastor, Sandra R. Dawson, out of Los Angeles. I have been a member of New Mount Calvary Baptist Church for 1,000 years. Not that long, maybe 999.
Like, you look good for 1,000 plus. Black lady don't crack.
No wonder she's so full of wisdom. Okay,
Yes.
serious.
Yes, auntie. So I was actually under her father's pastorage years ago. Then we moved here to the Inland Empire. I was away from the church, that church, for 10 years. And then my husband and I rejoined about 3 years ago. And she's been the pastor there for 10 years. But watching her as a woman in a predominantly male-dominated occupation, where she has continued, but she has thrived, and she's continuing to thrive and strive to be the best that she can be. My mom is another one. Watching my mom, like I said, the way that she struggled to make sure that my brother and I had everything that we need. You know, she worked nights. We were latchkey kids. I don't know what they're called now, but you know, we had to get ourselves home. We knew not to open that door if anybody knocked on the door. And one of the things that my mother used to joke about when we were younger was her friends would call and they'd ask, well, where is your mom home? Well, how long before she gets back? And everything was, I don't know, because we were told we didn't tell anybody anything. And so my mom's friends would joke, it's like, you have 2 of the dumbest kids. They don't know anything, but we knew, but we weren't telling.
They're actually the smartest.
Right.
They're the smartest.
I'm gonna underestimate them, huh?
Right. Exactly. And so, and that has helped me even with my friendships. People know that they can trust me in friendships where I'm not going to, and I didn't realize at the time, you have to learn to take those things that could be negative, seen as negative, and you turn them into something positive. So I am a really, really good friend. I have a lot of things that I said I will take to the grave with me because, I know people have trusted me to keep those things, including my own kids.
Now you know who to tell your secrets to.
I'm just gonna call her to Ben and be like, okay, you did. So there's
Sharon,
no judgment either.
I actually, I was talking to a friend about having women as pastors, because she was talking about Joyce Meyer, and then somewhere in the Bible it says something like, I don't want to misquote her, or something about like women not, being able to lead in the church or something like that. How do you feel about that? Or how do you address that when people bring that up?
And that's a good question. I might even defer to Jay Love. I'm looking at him. One of the things, and now let me say this. Now, before her dad passed away, that was really a big theme, something that he had to deal with. He's been gone now 10 years, a little over 10 years, but he had so many talented women there in the church, women that had studied the word, that knew the word. He knew that, God is no respecter of persons, and that, that we have to, your gift will make room for you. Right. And he actually talked to a lot of prominent pastors all over the country to find out how they handled it. Now, we did have a lot of people that left at that time. As a matter of fact, I think I was already gone. No, I was still there. But he prayed to God, and God gave him the answer. This is the opportunity it's a whole new generation. We are no longer, we're wearing the black suits and white dresses on the first Sunday and having to do all these things that are religious. Now it's more about relationships. And I think that's where I stand, is more about relationships than the religiosity of Christianity.
No, absolutely. And for the record, the theology on it is that context is important, right? And so originally there was a lot when the Bible, as we know it, was being put together. It was a bunch of men in a time when men, ran everything or whatever. And the truth is, if you look at even just the basic story of the Gospels, women were super important parts of Jesus's ministry, number one. And the particular part that people use as justification that women shouldn't lead really it was taken out of context, because if you notice, even to this day in the Middle East, men and women worship in separate areas, right? And so what happened was, and typically in those areas, even to this day, unfortunately, women are undereducated as opposed to men, right? Like the women, so the women would be asking each other questions, which would cause a little bit of a commotion, right? Well, what do you mean by this? So really what the exhortation was women, be quiet. When you get home, ask your husbands and they can explain it to you, you know what I mean? But while this service is going, you need to be quiet and not talk. That got misinterpreted into women, shut your mouth, don't say nothing, y'all just sit there, you know what I mean? And
that didn't mean that women can't lead like a
no, not at all. Matter of fact, some of the first apostles were women, right? It's just never taught that way because the matriarchal system of men running the world, and they didn't want women to understand that. So, but it's from a just clearly biblical and theological standpoint, it's not biblical at all. Like, women have all the right in the world. It's just men have always manipulated it.
Do you know, I've never heard it broken down like that. I've always been curious about that, because I've heard so many people tell me, you know, like, oh, you should totally speak this. And I've had that because I definitely was raised traditional background, right? So I'm like, well, why, if that is the case, why would God give the ability to so many women to be able to articulate things that maybe some men couldn't, right? If we were meant to just keep our mouth shut when it came to
I know like 2 or 3 things, you know what I'm saying? I know like 2 or 3 things. I got a little bit of, you know, but no, that's
I'm just saying.
But no,
like,
that's what it is.
Okay.
That's what it is. Like, that's why the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. And like a lot of people, you know, they just depend on the dude just talking in the front to tell them what's up. And that's why they never really, and it's very easy. You know, the Bible is the most powerful book in the history of the world for a reason, because it's like, it has the ability to sway people, right? And people have learned all throughout history to manipulate it for their own causes, which is not a reflection on God himself or the word, but it's just the ability for men to manipulate it. And for so long, because men manipulated, specifically when it came to women, you know, in the same way that they would always manipulate the scriptures to say, slaves, obey your masters, right? They would manipulate the scripture in their own, you know, for their own agenda. But absolutely unequivocally, like I said, some of the first apostles were women. Matter of fact, the most important people in Jesus' ministry, the only ones that were there besides John the Beloved, was who? Women. Women were the first ones at his tomb. Yeah, because the dudes was all out hiding, right? They was all, nah, I ain't down with Jesus. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, so it's just a funny thing historically that men have done to men, and to this day, like you're saying, so many people don't know that that's the case.
No, they really don't. And I think that is just completely interesting. That's a great breakdown. To your point, though, it's a great breakdown. And to your point, the manipulation, one manipulation could make a person who is not sure if they believe or not to chalk it all up as the entire Bible is one big manipulation of control, if this little piece is, and they don't have the ability to separate it. And that's just interesting. Anyways, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you should be a pastor. I don't know if you knew that, but
no, that was great. That was really good.
No, okay, wait, Sharon, who's your third influence? So your mom, your pastor?
Me.
Okay. You know. Besides J Love.
Besides J Love.
Let's see here. I was just gonna say I have so many.
Top 3.
Top 3. And this might sound weird.
Mr. Green.
Mr. Green. I would probably say, and it has to be. Does it have to be female?
No,
anybody.
Okay, I was gonna say my brother is actually my oldest brother is actually a really good influence. You know, we came from a broken home, but he got his doctorate last summer.
Okay, brother.
So, all right. He followed everything that should have been done. He's now working at it. Well, he's been working at community college for years, but now he's a dean. And just knowing where he came from, where we came from, like I said, we could have gone any direction coming from the city of Compton, any direction. Could have been influenced by anybody or by anything. But the fact that he kept his head on straight and he persevered, and so it's just amazing to me to watch him now walk in his purpose. It's been amazing.
Well, I hate this part of the show because it's a part of the show where we have to hurry up because our time goes by so ridiculously quick.
This time went so fast.
You are super fascinating. You're making me want to check out Misleading Lady. So I need to. Yeah.
How can we check that out? Where can we find it?
Yeah, where can we find it? Where can we find you?
Let's see, Amazon.com, of course, Misleading Lady. I'm going to show the cover really, really quick. The cover is just beautiful. That's the cover.
Who is that?
This is the one I wrote. This is the one based on my stage play.
Okay.
I love it.
This is also on Amazon. This is Heart to Heart. This is the one I told you about for the teen girls.
Yes.
Both of those can be
Heart
found
to Heart, listeners. Heart to Heart.
Heart to Heart. Amazon. And then you can find me on all social media platforms. I'm Sharon Judie. Believe it or not, that's a common name. I know two other ones that I met in the last several years. One that I know I'm related to, but the other one in Atlanta, not sure the relation. But
the whole name, Sharon Judie?
They are Sharon. One is Sharon Lee Judie, and the other one is Sharon Judie.
And for our listeners that can't see her name in the spelling, it's Sharon Y. Judie with an IE. That is very important. Sharon Y. Judie with an IE.
Yes. Sharon Y. period. Judie, like she said, Judie. And then look for my website is right now being redone for the relaunch. But you will be able to find my website at The Golden Quill.
Well, here's what we'll do. We're actually going to have you back. We'll have you back. Okay. Because I definitely want to do a whole show on the grieving issue because I think that's one issue in and of itself.
Yep.
That we literally can deal with just that. Talk about that journal because you said that's going to be out soon, right?
Yes, sir.
And then your website will be up by then.
And the website will be up.
Website will be up and running by then. And I'm excited about this whole journey that is now in front of me. And hopefully and grieving looks different each day for me. Some days it's good. Some days it's not so good. It's a challenge, but I was looking forward to this evening. So I'm glad God held me together all day so that I could be here and just be blessed by just your presence. And I hope that I've been a blessing as well.
Absolutely. Well, I was sorry, Jay. I was just going to say, it's always so powerful to speak to people who are walking in their purpose because you can feel their peace and you can feel their passion. And that's what I feel from you. So thank you so much for being our guest. You've definitely been a blessing to us and I'm sure to our listeners as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you guys go on Amazon, check out Misleading Lady, check out Heart to Heart by Sharon Judie. I'm definitely going to go check those out because I just it's fascinating hearing you talk. We actually sounded really smart today, so thank you. Because normally I sound ridiculous, but today you made it sound.
I like how he says "we," Melian. Like he groups us into that.
We. It's
you're on your own with that. We're here to help you deal with that on the daily. What are you talking about,
Sharon? I love the little side note that you said. Like you take your gift. You know that God's giving you this gift, and you don't take it lightly. Like, man, I take that. I would take that.
And walking in my purpose is really what I'm all about. And that's what I try to help other people do, walk in their purpose as well. And you don't know your purpose until you're actually, a lot of times, actually in it. What do you do well? What do you do well? What do people ask you about? What advice are they asking you for? And a lot of times you can figure out what your purpose is through that.
Really amazing.
Well, we definitely we're looking forward to having you back. I think it's going to be amazing. So for those of you, like I said, make sure you check her out. We will be back tomorrow. We got a really special thing going on Thursday. I also want to remind you, 2 weeks is going down. Win a Date with Melian is going down. It's official. So we need those. We need you to send those videos, gentlemen. We need those videos.
If you know anybody, share it.
Yes. Win a Date with Melian. That's going down. It's official.
Yes. Come through, Melian.
Yes. So it's about to get real. All right. So send me at JLoveOfficial or at Mars Mindset to Cherie Marlene, MINDSET on Instagram. Send us your videos. You know what I mean? And we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna get it down to the top 3. But with that being said, we gotta remind you, I always thank you for tuning in, but we got to remind you, as always, reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything. We'll see y'all mañana.
Oh my.